And today marks the Youth Day in China. Earlier, China issued its first white paper documenting the achievements of the country's youth. And over 2 years ago, when the COVID-19 pandemic broke out in central China's Hubei province, more than 5.5 million young people trooped to the front lines to battle the spread of coronavirus. And of the 29,000 nurses that came to the province, 90% were in their 20s and 30s. And young people have also taken the lead in innovation. They are becoming the backbone of several groundbreaking Chinese programs, such as the Beidou navigation satellite system, the quantum science satellite Mozi, and the 500-meter aperture spherical telescope FAST. And Chinese youth have made their mark in sports as well. February's Beijing Winter Olympics gave a boost to the uptake of winter sports in China, which was mainly comprised of those aged 18 to 30, with a participation rate of 37%. For some insights, we're now joined by Xia Lu, Associate Professor at the School of Marxism Studies at Renmin University of China. Professor Xia, welcome to Global Watch. Well, first of all, whenever we mention the Youth Day, we mention this phrase, spirits of youth. Help us understand that.
Well, thank you for having me here. This is my pleasure to join this show in the Youth Day. Actually, it's a very important day for China. We all know that the spirit of the youth actually include, but not limited to, the spirit of patriotism, the spirit of innovation, and the spirit of always being prepared for the advancement. Because when we look back to the Chinese history in more than 1 century, we have noticed that it's always the youth, the young people, the younger generation, the younger intellectuals that step ahead of all these kind of revolutionary clause, and they just led and participated largely in the 1911 revolution, anti the Manchu. They all led the 1915s, they call New Culture movement, and they all led 1919, the real May 4th movement. And also they were the real creators of the Chinese Communist Party, the Communist Party of China. So we could argue that without youth, without this kind of contribution of the youth and the younger generation, there would be no advancement. There would be less or little advancement in Chinese revolution and all this kind of socialist construction and other kind of a great contribution.
Right, and more than 100 years has passed since the 1919. So a lot of tremendous changes have happened. How do you think the spirits of youth changed over the past century?
Thanks very much for the question. Actually, we can look into the question from two sides. On the one hand, what remains in the spirit of the youth is that they always commit and they always contribute and they always devote themselves, not only their life, but also their entire career to the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. So we could notice that the commitment, the devotion, and the contribution are actually the spirit remain until now and even for the future. Well, as the time goes, we can also say that there are a lot of changes. On the other hand, what got improved, what got changed, what got upgraded is that the Chinese, the younger Chinese nowadays, they got more down to the earth than their predecessors. That is to say, they are more familiar with China's condition. They are more familiar with the reality of China now than their predecessor. They don't, not only do they have the energy, not only do they have this kind of idea, they all have this practical, spirit, and they know how to improve. They know how to, process this kind of reform and rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. So they are more down to the earth than their predecessors. That would be my take on this.
Right. So the concept of spirits of youth actually develops with time.